My name is Daniel Martinez, and I'm an overcomer. My mother and father split up when I was a baby, so my mother raised me by herself. Financially, it was hard for her, so we moved in with my uncle. He was a bit of an alcoholic. He used to drink a lot. I started smoking weed at the age of 11. I started drinking beer at 13 years old. And at 14 years old, I got introduced to cocaine. I learned all of this from my older cousins. When I started high school, I was smoking weed every day, and I started experimenting with acid, mushrooms, and on the weekends, I was always drinking with my friends. This obviously messed up my schoolwork, and I missed a lot of days at school, and I never graduated high school. My addictions got worse. I was working, but after work on the weekends, I was hanging out with the party crowd. I started using a lot more cocaine. My cocaine use turned into smoking crack. And soon after, a few years later, I got introduced to crank. And then from there, I started smoking meth. And that was a downfall of my life. While I had all these addictions in my life, I became a father. My son's name is Jacob. I was looking forward to being a father because my dad was never there for me, so I always promised myself that I would be there for my child when he was born. But because of my addictions, the relationship didn't last, and she ended up moving to Florida with her parents, and that really took a toll on my life as well when he was gone. So now in my life, I was lonely, I was upset with myself because everything that I did in my life, I failed. Everything I was doing, relationships, family, it was just all falling apart. So now at the lowest point in my life, I find that God is intervening and showing up in wherever I'm at, pretty much. I had a cousin tell me, why don't I give my life to the Lord? And then I ended up going to court on my last case, and I was gonna get remanded. A gentleman prayed for me. He asked me if I believed in God. I said yes. And he said a prayer for me, and I got released from being remanded. And then I ended up going to prison. I'm evaluating my life, and I couldn't get my cousin's voice out of my head saying, "What? Why don't you give your life to the Lord? Why don't you give your life to the Lord?" There was a gentleman there that used to give me scriptures under my cell door. When I got to another prison, gentleman's there, "Why don't you come to Bible study?" And even though I got all these offers from God, I ignored them. I was afraid. So now I get out of prison, and I thought my addictions really took me to my lowest point, but now I find myself homeless. Ended up at the Salvation Army. So when I was at the Salvation Army, I realized I'm a 35-year-old man, can't take care of myself. I really humbled myself there, and at that program you have to attend outside churches, and that's where I got introduced to Christian Worship Center. I got introduced to Pastor Nick and the Masters Commission, and at that Bible study they had every Friday, I pretty much surrendered my life to the Lord. So now God has really restored my life. Today I have 6 years clean and sober. I've been married 3 years now. I get my son every summer. Even my relationship with my father has been restored, and he's back in my life. I went from being homeless to a homeowner. I never thought in my life that I would be sober this long. My life is good today. give all honor and glory to Lord, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. My name is Daniel Martinez, and I'm an overcomer.